And at 10, repurposed ballerina. My first thought when learning about this fridge was why the hell would a fridge be trending? But then after looking it up, I thought, wouldn't this just be a repurposed ballerina robot? I mean, the twins from this game are that way, right? Originally ballerina robots that after the ballerinas were repurposed for other performance arts were then repurposed by Dimitri to be bodyguards. So could this repressed fridge really just be a ballerina robot that was turned into an upgrade station? And I mean, like, maybe this ballerina was the one that like really liked her job, or was just pretending to like it in order to kill or rob whoever was using the service. Like you know, like a man with a golden gun thing where they have to sleep with you in order to get close enough to kill you. I mean, it would explain why she got repurposed in the first place and why she would still use the same MO, and it would also give us a reason as to why we're being introduced to this character like we were about to fight some big bad evil guy. Because when it was a ballerina, it was a big bad evil guy. And at 9, possession. Or could the fridge, in classic robot in an indie game fashion, be possessed? I mean, color me FNAF, but I think it could be. I don't think that there's any evidence in the game for ghost possession being canon, but that doesn't mean it's not possible. Hey, I mean, come on. This thing is hella rough with us when we first meet it, so maybe it was just a little too rough with someone else earlier on and it killed them, which created a ghost that latched onto the very thing that killed it. And now, for whatever reason, the ghost is just going around making everyone uncomfortable because it thinks a horny fridge is funny, which it is, but I also never thought I would use the words horny and fridge in the same sentence. I've been joking about banging an animatronic chicken for like 2+ years at this point, but a fridge? Like, come on. That is the perfect couple though. Okay, I ship Chica and Nora. Hashtag Chinora. Norika? Chora? We'll figure it out. And if you like things as obscene as this, which I'm sure you do, be sure you hit subscribe, because I'm sure there's way more of this to come. No pun intended, get your mind out of the gutter. And at 8, repression. Speaking of repression, do you think that maybe this fridge was just a way for the devs to get their rocks off? I mean, this is a very common situation when you look at the roles here. Not who's in the roles, of course, but the fact that there is a very clear dominant conversationalist suggests that this was probably the intent behind the interactions. And not only would it help the subs, sorry, I mean the devs get their fun, but it also helps present a different dynamic for the player. In basically every game like this, every RPG, futuristic or fantasy, you play as this big hero, chosen one who has to save the world or save the day. Sometimes it's blind luck that you're the one who has to do it, but you're still a hero with some dope skills. Sometimes you're literally prophesized and can yell at people so loudly that they go soaring 30 feet back, but you're always the hero or stronger than the average person in some capacity, even if you're the villain. But with this, with Nora, you're not the dominant one. You're the weaker one, and the one who's at the mercy of who would normally be a player character. It's almost like you're interacting as an NPC with the bard of the D&D party who flirts with anything they can. And that's certainly an interesting spin on the relationship with a fridge. Plus, also, why should I do all the work? And it's 7, schizophrenia. Or could this fridge vending machine, I'm gonna keep calling it a fridge because that's funnier, be a sign of a much larger issue? You see, there's plenty of explanations for this, but in classic theory fashion, why not take it to one of the most extreme possibilities to explain this one single aspect of the game? Schizophrenia is a serious medical issue in which people interpret reality abnormally. These sorts of interpretations may result in some combination of hallucinations, delusions, and extremely disordered thinking, and also behavior that impairs daily functioning. And it can be disabling. Schizophrenia involves a range of problems with thinking, behavior, and emotions. But it's the hallucinations one that people are really most commonly familiar with, and really what everyone associates with schizophrenia. These usually involve seeing or hearing things that don't exist, yet for the person with schizophrenia, they have the full force and impact of a normal experience. To them, they are real. Hallucinations can be in any of the senses, but hearing voices is the most common. But I mean, come on, we're led to believe that this is like some big bad enemy before meeting Nora, so what if this actually is a big bad, but all we see and hear is an aroused fridge? And at 6, her. You know about the movie Her, right? You know, the one where Joker falls in love with Black Widow cosplaying as Siri? Well, what if someone got a little too fond of that movie, or maybe related to it a bit too much, and figured that this game could use even more Reddit fan art opportunities? It's entirely possible in my eyes, okay? I mean, most of the theories on this list are going to be about why the fridge with more repressed sexual tension than a group of college freshmen in a Disney Channel original movie was ever put into the game to begin with, because that's really what I'm curious about, but like, damn, okay? this is like the movie Her if you found it on another streaming service. This is like the HBO equivalent to Her, or like the Orange and Black YouTube equivalent to earlier Smosh sketches. It's like that episode of Big Bang Theory where Raj falls in love with Siri and then he has dreams about meeting the girl who voices Siri, but it's also in a world where she's voicing it in real time and then also looks like a freaking Vogue model. Yeah, it's like the actual version of that dream that wouldn't have been safe for ABC or NBC or whatever channel that show was on, okay? I'm Canadian, I watch shows on CTV. Halfway through, and at number 5, possessed coding. Now, how about we get a little bit more meta with this? And I'm talking like more meta than just the character in the game is a possessed fridge. What if the game code itself got possessed and this fridge is a manifestation of that? Like how Glitch Trap is presented to us in FNAF VR. That's right, I'm relating it back to FNAF for the tag. Definitely unlikely. This is definitely not the case, but it could be interesting to see something like that. And there's plenty of crazy ghost theories and about spirits appearing where nobody would expect them. Like how there's supposed to be a kid in the background of 3 men and a baby that nobody remembers ever seeing on set, that people now assume to be a ghost that was caught on camera. What if it's something like that and it's a ghost of an intern that was maybe having an affair with the boss that ended up getting trapped in the game? That could explain why the fridge is so cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, or why it wants you to shove your bananas inside without putting saran wrap over the stems. And yes, that is supposed to be a joke, but also probably just factual in a produce sense. If you put saran wrap over the banana stems, they stay yellow for longer. You're welcome. And at 4, Objectophilia. This is most definitely not what the point of this fridge is, but it's a funny thought I had, so I wanted to talk about it. What if one of the guys on the dev team is just secretly an objectophiliac and this fridge is their attempt to normalize it? An objectophiliac, by the way, is the term for someone who's attracted to objects in an intimate fashion. So what if this person just has like an ongoing relationship with their fridge at home and this was their way of putting their partner into the game? I mean, absolutely ridiculous and almost certainly not the case, but still funny as hell to think about. Okay, like damn, the reviews of this game are starting to make this idea seem more likely as well. Here's some examples that are going to have to be censored. BRB, I'm going to the kitchen to f a fridge. Or a refrigerator harassed me an hour into the game. Or how about refrigerator Harassment Simulator 2023. Or, my personal favorite, I have trust issues with my fridge after playing this game. It's great, go play it. 10 out of 10 would get 10 by my fridge again. This is absurd. That's nuts, okay? Quite a few of those had to be censored in the video. You definitely didn't hear all of them, and I also had to leave a couple of reviews out. Yeah, it's nuts. One of the reviews even said the fridge was the focus of my company HR meeting about harassment. Getting close to the end, and at number 3, Samsung. This is my personal theory, but I think that this could have been inspired by the Samsung smart fridges and just how creepy some of them actually are. Okay, I like genuinely, it freaks me out. Just listen to some of the excerpts about the Samsung fridges from the Samsung website. Quote, control your appliances and smart devices with the built-in SmartThings hub. Use voice controls with Alexa, adjust your thermostat, and see who's at the front door with Ring. Using your freaking fridge. Bring the party to the kitchen and play your favorite Spotify playlists from the fridge. Stream Samsung TV Plus or mirror your movies, shows, and social media to the screen for interruption-free viewing. Stream your favorite music, get access to free live TV with Samsung TV Plus, plus all of your latest social updates from the Family Hub screen. See inside your fridge from anywhere, search recipes based on what you have on hand, plan weekly meals, and send cooking instructions to your Samsung smart oven. Share pictures, videos, and leave handwritten notes. Dude, what the fuck? The smart fridge is basically your spouse already, and then all this fridge is all really that would be left to make sure that you never really had to get married. Plus, the fridge won't take half your stuff after you catch it being filled with other carrots. I am desperately ashamed of all the jokes I've been making this video. But ultimately, and at number 2, accident. Some fans also suspect, rightfully so in my opinion, that the idea of a horny fridge was just a joke on the dev team that someone took too seriously. Or that they hired new devs for this project, the manager then made a joke about it, and then the new hire took it too seriously. Or kinda like how some places have the new hire clear out the hot water from machines that are being refilled constantly. Like essentially hazing the new employee, but in this case, it ended up actually going in the game, maybe because they thought it was funny, or maybe because it was just done too well to actually pass up. And you could also consider the fact that they would have been paid to actually do this work. So like, you know, might as well throw in a freaky fridge in a game where the robots are so overly sexualized. It's a 1980s college movie about robots playing beer pong. And yes, 80s movies about beer pong are actually a thing. Oh wait, okay, no, sorry, that movie came out in 2009. Well, in that case, it's a 2000s movie about robots playing beer pong, okay? And finally, in at number 1, fired. There's also the idea that this fridge was never meant to be this thirsty, pun intended, but that an employee that was just being let go or quit for less than amicable reasons decided that they'd turn up the horny dial to max and then break it off like a villain in a James Bond movie. Because there is seemingly no real in-game explanation because why this fridge is so into you. This fridge is flirting with me more than my ex did. This fridge is more into me than any of my Tinder matches. This single fridge is talking to me more than Chica ever has, and I've been talking about her for years at this point. I am so intrigued by what caused this fridge to become so insane that I am alright with ruining my search history to find the answer. And I promise you, I am only interested in the reason that the devs actually put the fridge into the game. I'm not trying to find a Samsung smart fridge voiced by Scarlett Johansson or anything like that. I just want to know why. I'd rather have my fridge be voiced by Catherine McNamara anyway. And while my fridge may have Siri, I still need to shower manually, and after this video I definitely feel the need to.
And at number 10, Pauline. Starting off our list is the OG Mario girl, Pauline. Some of you may be scratching your heads wondering, hey, wait a sec, Pauline? Who's that? Well, let's jump back to 1981 and the very first Donkey Kong game. Remember that damsel in distress? The woman that Jumpman, later known as Mario, had to save? At the time in Japan, she was simply referred to as Lady. When the game was distributed in North America, she was given the name Pauline, named after the wife of Nintendo of America's warehouse manager, Don James. Since then, she got a makeover to help distinguish her from another Mario damsel in distress, and has reappeared in the Mario franchise many a time, primarily in spin-off games or crossover games with Donkey Kong characters, and most recently in 2017's Mario Odyssey, where she's the mayor of New Donk City. Gotta give it to Nintendo, they're never the type to forget their roots. Up next, number 9, Harriet. Speaking of Mario Odyssey, Harriet is a fairly new character who made her debut in the game last year, and she's a boss you have to take on during the mission's inverted pyramid showdown and big brutal battle. Harriet is from the dark side, a secret kingdom located on the moon in the game. She's often described as the kind of character you really don't want to get angry, as she has an arsenal of homemade bombs that she'll toss out at you that pack quite the punch. She's devious, and lives life on the dangerous side, keeping those set explosives and bombs on her person at all times. Up next, number 8, Vivian. Speaking of villains, Vivian is a character who was once an antagonist to Mario's, but then she decided to switch over to the side of good, probably for the best. First appearing in Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door, she was a member of the Shadow Sirens, a group of sisters that came to the Mushroom World in an attempt to free their mistress, the Shadow Queen. She eventually joins Mario's party after having enough of her sister's abuse, learning to shed her inferiority complex and gain some confidence and self-respect. Vivian has had a bit of a low profile since Thousand Year Door, only appearing in one other Mario game, Super Paper Mario, with just a small cameo. In her number 7 spot, Wendy O'Koopa. Wendy is the princess of the Koopas, and the only female Koopaling. She's a singer, has a quick temper, and is a little sensitive when it comes to wealth management. In the past, she's set false coins to trick Mario. A lady of luxury, she first appeared in Super Mario Bros. 3 back in 1988, and many consider her to be the first true villainess in a Mario game. In her number 6 spot, Dixie Kong. Jumping over to another Nintendo franchise here, Dixie Kong is a character who has plenty of crossover appearances in Mario games. Or rather, 3 specifically. Mario Superstar Baseball, Mario Hoops 3-on-3, and Mario Super Sluggers. Dixie is likely the most beloved female character from the Donkey Kong series. She's energetic, adventurous, and oh so adorable. She's also the 3rd character to appear in the DK franchise after DK himself and her boyfriend Diddy, making her one of the more recognizable female additions in Nintendo's cast of characters. And hey, who doesn't love a good crossover cameo? And at number 5, Toadette. Toadette is one of the more minor supporting characters that has managed to gain a big following. A parallel to her boyfriend Toad, Toadette is known for being sweet, optimistic, and at times, ever so slightly immature. But she's also got a lot of guts, and is a force to be reckoned with. She's appeared in 13 games to date. I guess being adorable sure has its perks. And at number 4, Birdo. Birdo is a character with quite the interesting history. She's largely considered to be the first trans character in video games. How so? Well, in her first appearance in Super Mario Bros. 2, the English manual for the game stated that Birdo, known as Ostro at the time, was a boy who, I quote, thinks he is a girl and would rather be referred to as Birdetta. Later releases of the game removed the mention of Birdetta in the manual. Various game theorists and developers over the years have noted the importance of Birdo, and have questioned whether or not the character underwent gender reassignment surgery. Reception of Birdo has always been mixed because of this, with some critics even calling Birdo one of gaming's most repelling anti-babes. On the other hand, others have noted that Birdo is just one of a long line of Japanese video game characters forced to hide their true sexual identity. All that aside, Birdo's gender doesn't change the way a lot of players feel about the character. Many still adore the cute pink dinosaur and ship Birdo and Yoshi as a romantic item. Up next, number 3, Princess Daisy. Princess Daisy is the princess for those who don't like archetypal princesses. She's a tomboy, a tough cookie, and has a thing for flowers. Like, really adores them and doesn't just think that they're pretty accessories. Daisy first appeared in Super Mario Land in 1989, and was the princess that Mario had to save. She's established more of a personality since then, being the ruler of Serana Land, who resides in the Mushroom Kingdom, and even became a love interest for Mario's brother Luigi. In our number 2 spot, Rosalina. A big fan favorite, Rosalina is sometimes liked more than our number 1 spot, who by this point is probably pretty obvious, but we'll get there in a minute. Rosalina, on the other hand, is appealing for being quite the independent individual. She's a sorceress, wields a ton of power, and her duties are to watch over and guard the Mushroom World, and also to protect and guard the universe. Yeah, that's no simple task. But Rosalina is definitely up to it. She first debuted in Super Mario Galaxy, and since then has become a reoccurring character due to popularity, although mainly pops up in spin-off games as opposed to main titles. And to top it all off, many a fan find her outfit variations to be the sexiest of the franchise. And finally, in at number 1, Princess Peach. How could we not put Princess Peach in our number 1 spot? While she may not be the OG Mario girl, Peach has become synonymous with the franchise, and is likely one of the first characters you think of when it comes to iconic women in video games. She's appeared in more games than any other female character in video game history. First appearing in 1985's Super Mario Bros., Peach has come a long way from simply being a damsel in distress, having more agency and even becoming a playable character in main titles in the series. A mix of intelligence, stubbornness, selflessness, graciousness, and a little bit of posh princess attitude, it's not difficult to see why Peach has resonated with fans for so long.
In at 10, alternate start Live Another Life. Skyrim is one of those games that I go back to all the time. I've played through the game I don't know how many different times, and every time I do, of course, I end up being a stealth archer. However, they all start differently, and the typical get caught in a dragon attack in Helgen thing gets old. In fact, it gets old after the first time, really. And that might stop some people from playing it over and over again, but not anymore. With the alternate start Live Another Life mod, well, I mean, I'm sure anyone who actually knows Skyrim modding knows about this mod, and I feel like the title is fairly evident. Basically, you can become anyone using this mod. You can choose from like 20 different starting options that each have their own options, and they give you a slight backstory as well as a new starting location that isn't Helgen. But before that, like, you don't even need to be the Dragonborn too. But once you're ready to become the Dragonborn, you can make your way to Helgen and start the main story as normal. This caused me to play through the game so many times that I actually ended up bailing on a girlfriend in the past because I would have rather been playing Skyrim. Grade 10 was weird, guys. Okay, it's a long story. In at 9, Relationship Dialogue Overhaul. The Relationship Dialogue Overhaul is exactly what it sounds like. It unlocks various lines of dialogue previously cut from the game for whatever reason and actually re-enables them. According to the mod page, this quote adds over 5,000 lines of completely voiced dialogue for NPCs using the original voices. Friends, followers, spouses, rivals, and others have much more to say. All default voices now have follower dialogue, and it also fixes dialogue bugs and restores cut dialogue that has never been heard before. Based on the relationship the NPC has with the player that works with the existing dialogue from the game. Yeah, you get more bang for your buck. Finally. Considering how I've bought the game 4 times, I feel like I deserve it. All the lines are voiced using the original voices from the game and consist of existing lines that have been added in new and suitable situations, as well as completely new dialogue that was created by editing multiple lines together to form brand new ones. Some of which sound like they were recorded, but a few of them you can tell were a little spliced. Friends talk to you more like friends, followers have much more to say when you're talking to them, and if your spouse is a follower, they will actually talk to you like a spouse instead of a follower. So basically this just makes your spouse more like your spouse in game. I have to say in game. And well, like, you know, they won't repeat the same 8 things over and over again. So yeah, more variety in game means more trouble outside. And by outside, I mean in the apartment, because we don't go outside. In at 8, Immersive Armory. Immersive Armory, like Alternate Start, adds so much to Skyrim that it feels like a whole DLC. What I call the Immersive Armory, though, is really just the immersive weapons and immersive armor mods that I think were at least at one point separate, but as of Special Edition, they might be packaged together. Although given that some people may want one over the other, I don't know if they are still like together or if they're separate. I don't know how it's going normally, but no matter the actual technicalities, the immersive armor and the immersive weapons mod add enough to your game to keep it feeling like vanilla Skyrim, but giving it that extra bit of oomph. The armors are cool, and with the variations on the armor itself in the mod, you can customize certain aspects to make your character truly unique. But this also adds another element of exploration, and for those completionists who want to collect everything they can, you're gonna be in for one hell of a ride. With hundreds of new items added to the game, you're gonna be working with like that smithing tree for a long time to be able to get complete access. I could have included like the Legacy of the Dragonborn mod, the mod that adds like the Dragonborn Museum in Solitude that you can fill out, but I feel like this one's more accessible to everyone, even though it's 2 mods, or I guess now technically 3. In at 7, Skyrim Family Life. In Skyrim, you for some reason can't have an actual family. Okay, well obviously it's due to engine limitations, but you can't actually like have your own children. It's an interesting idea that many players wanted access to, because you can only actually adopt kids after the Hearthfire mod. But the Skyrim Family Life mod actually enables you to have biological kids with your Skyrim spouse. I don't exactly know how it works, but I mean, if you have a family in Skyrim, okay, what's the need to have one in real life, right? I mean, that's definitely going to make some people mad that I said that, but come on, okay? You have to understand how being able to have a biological kid with your video game wife is probably gonna cause some problems with your partner, or your video game wife, or husband, or whatever. I mean, but let's be honest, everyone who plays Skyrim probably plays as a female character, and they probably end up marrying women because men are trash. But considering that this mod, or at least a mod similar to this one, is compatible with certain Lover's Lab mods, and if you don't know what Lover's Lab is, then you probably don't need to be worrying about it anyway. Yeah, at least one version of the having biological kids mod genre, I guess, is a little more realistic than the typical black screen and a small block of text, or even just like sleeping in the bed next to your spouse, enabling the possibility of implied frisky time. So yeah, it's on this list for a reason. In at 6, Summer Mist Enchantments. Summer Mist Enchantments is another one of those mods that isn't gonna ruin your love life because of its content, but rather how much time you'll be spending playing the game because of it. Summer Mist Enchants is the special edition version of the Winter Mist Enchants mod, so if you see that one, they're basically one and the same. This mod adds things like shout cooldown enchantments to armor, experience boosting enchantments, and much more. From what I remember off the top of my head, there was one for making the ground shake when you landed, one for summoning a spectral warrior when you took damage, and one that generates random amounts of gold every day, but once you take off that piece, that amount of money disappears. So finding all those enchantments and then trying to find the best combo for your character is definitely going to kill your love life, just because you won't have time for anything else. Halfway through, in at number 5, More Nodes. The mod itself, I don't think is actually called More Nodes, but what it's probably called isn't going to be allowed on YouTube. So yeah, I'll just call it More Nodes for now, and if you want to look it up later, you can. Basically, this mod edits certain Skyrim body mods like UNP and adds more areas to the body that physics can be applied. Basically, it turns compatible female body mods into jiggle physics emulators. So I think you can see where I'm going with this one, alright? HDT physics is nothing new with Skyrim mods, especially in this area. However, where I think that this mod in particular really stands out over the other jiggle mods that you can get is that this one's VR compatible. And I don't mean that like it won't crash your game when you boot it up. I'm saying that these nodes that it adds are capable of being interacted with using your VR character's hands. So yeah, you can just start walking around slapping characters' butts. You can commit even more crimes now in game. You can start assaulting people with more than just bloody knuckles. So yeah, I'm sure you can understand why this mod would put a strain on your love life. And no, ironically enough, this isn't the one that ruined mine. In at 4, reputation. Now, this doesn't do things like adding nodes or allowing you to have biological children. However, the Skyrim reputation mod definitely is going to give you more reasons to keep on playing. With the reputation mod installed, everything you do in-game will either make you more famous or more infamous. From quest lines to even how many bandits you kill, everything you do will make you either more of a good guy or a bad guy. But no matter which way you go, there will be different effects. From even Nazim no longer disrespecting you to being charged more at shops, the reputation mod is such a subtle change that adds a huge amount to your game. This mod made me replay Skyrim so many times by myself, like, oh my god. I mean, like, I spent a load of time trying to fix my reputation after the Dark Brotherhood questline because I accidentally left it enabled for changing my score in the mod menu. You can turn certain things off. But after defeating Alduin, you're actually recognized as the Dragonborn and the savior of Skyrim, which is something that the main game was very much lacking. Alright, you saved them after, but then nobody cared. Because it's like they never thought that they were in danger. They're like, no, he wasn't gonna eat the world anyway. Who cares, dude? Like, come on. This mod also fixes that, okay? And it lets you become famous. And I mean, who doesn't want that? At least in Skyrim. Getting close to the end, in at number 3, Bijan NPCs. Bijan NPCs is probably the funniest name for a mod that I've ever seen. Well, at least out of the mods on the Nexus. This mod, I believe, is actually potentially a collection of mods under the Bijan NPCs umbrella. From the ones that I can remember, we have Bijan Wives and Bijan War Maidens, although those also may be separate mods with NPCs being its own. These mods modify certain NPCs though to look better, and it kind of removes the whole grunge and grime from their appearance. The NPCs edition of the mod focuses on Vex, Sapphire, Irileth, Rick, Hulda, Lisette, Carlotta, Carlia, Tanalia, Adrian, Maven, Ignan, Girder, and Ygritte, while the other sections focus on, well, their certain category. The War Maidens and the Mariable NPCs. However, I think that just the fact that I was unable to view this mod page without being logged in since it couldn't prove that I was over 18 gives you an idea about how this mod changes your game. It's not something as extreme as like a Lover's Lab mod, but it's definitely certainly making your significant other worrying about your next night together, especially if you've specifically downloaded the Bijan Wives version, because like, you know. Penultimately, in at number 2, CBBE. CBBE is one of, if not the most popular Skyrim mod of all time. Okay, well technically I think that Sky UI is the most popular mod, or maybe the unofficial patch, but those are more of fixes than mods in my eyes. Anyway, for those of you who don't know somehow, CBBE is actually an acronym standing for Caliente's Beautiful Bodies Edition, and it's a mod aimed at, well, I'm sure you can figure that out. Its main focus is adding bigger butts and boobs to female NPCs, which I'm sure you can understand why it's such a popular mod now. At this point, Skyrim is nothing more than one of those like you can't last 5 minutes playing this game ads, but actually real. Nevertheless, downloading this will ruin your love life in multiple ways. Firstly, okay, it could warp your perception of reality and then change your standards to be ridiculously high, as if society hasn't set those high enough as it is. Or 2, it will also make your significant other question why you have these mods to begin with. And it works in every way, okay? Whether you're dating a male, a woman, a non-binary person, or otherwise identifying, they'll all have questions as to why you have this mod, okay? Like what? Is my body not good enough? Why are you installing that if you're not into women? The questions will just, it'll flow out of them more than the waterfall at Bard's Leap. Not from personal experience, because, well, my last girlfriend honestly wanted me to have this mod installed even more than I did, I think, which explains a lot, but especially given the main use of this mod being to make NPCs naked, you can see why this may cause some issues and why I've really had to restrain myself when talking about it. And finally, in at number 1, the Serana dialogue add-on. This number might, in all honesty, be a little too real for me, considering how I've been messing around most of this list. Okay, I've talked about it on my Instagram before, but over the past year or so, I've come to realize that the last relationship I was in was definitely an extremely toxic one. I was being manipulated and gaslit and a whole mess of other things. However, I thought what was going on was normal, based on what I was seeing on social media and TV and just in my own life, I figured that this kind of behavior was normal and to be expected. However, something that started to clue me in into how messed up things really were was the Serana dialogue add-on. Yeah, basically, with this mod installed, you'll want to do the Dawnguard DLC first before even the main vanilla quest line, since with this mod, Serana will have an incredible amount of additional dialogue about the main quest line, Dragonborn, and even guild storylines. But it also injects an element of romance into these stories and into the quest lines for those of you who wanted to marry Serana only to find out that she wasn't actually a candidate for it in the vanilla game. This fixes that, even after curing herself of vampirism. This mod eliminates that whole issue, and it makes the connection more than just a "you got me a mammoth's tusk because I was lonely, so how about we just get married instead" thing. You know, the typical complete a quest, have them fall for you thing, okay? In this case, the dialogue choices matter, there are roleplay opportunities, and as sad as it sounds, it started me on the path of realizing that my situation wasn't healthy. And if you agree that that's sad, just imagine how bad it had to be for this to be what truly ended up ruining my love life. Yeah.
Number 10. Sakura Wars. Some of my favorite RPGs also have romance elements to them, like the Dragon Age series, and this is also what you get with the 2019 Sakura Wars, which is half open world RPG, complete with combat, and half dating sim, blending both wonderful worlds of gaming together. In this game, you play as Seijiro Kamiyama, a soldier who faces off against demons. And throughout your adventures, there are also plenty of ladies for you to romance along the way. One of my favorite pastimes, obviously, is kicking butt and romancing pretty ladies, so for me, this is a win-win. It also means you won't have to go out into the world to find a date, which I think is a major plus, especially since kicking demon butt in the real world is not really a thing you can do. So that part of the game, you know, we can't really live that fantasy. I mean, you know, kicking butt, sure, but kicking demon butt? Not really a thing. Number 9. Honey Pop. Racy and yet nuanced, Honey Pop is a dating sim that also mixes in Bejeweled style gameplay, where you must match 4 symbols in order to interact with the characters. So for those of you that are like me and love dating sims and love matching games, which I do, this is a great one. The only downside to this and some other games in terms of the dating simulator world is it's not a super diverse cast. I mean, it's only really ladies, as rad as they are, and that's kind of the options that you have when it comes to who you can date. I like things that are a little bit more like you can date this lady, this guy, this thing, this gelatinous cube. I mean, whatever options I can get, I will take. However, something that I find really cool about Honey Pop is that it is a game where paying attention is really rewarded and where the conversations feel more meaningful in regards to using the information that you've learned about your potential dates to your advantage. And friends, before we move on to this next spot, if you are loving this list and you want more lists about dating sims from us, please be sure to let us know in the comments below. And click that like button while you're on your way down there. Number 8. Kiss You. Kiss You isn't technically out yet, but I just know it's going to be a great game because of the folks who are working on it. So it's definitely one you'll want to watch out for, which is why I included it here. Kiss You does also have a playable demo available now, so if you're itching to see what this game will be like, that is something you can definitely check out. Kiss You is described as a spicy, high fantasy dating sim / arcade puzzler for adults from Babs Tarr and Sam Thurman. In this game, you attend Kiss University as a student where you must balance classwork, your social life, and of course, your fiery romances. As this is set in a fantasy world, there are all sorts of characters for you to date as well, which I love. The game was successfully funded on Kickstarter and features art from Babs and writing from Critical Role artist and comics author Kendra Wells. Number 7. I Love You, Colonel Sanders. I Love You, Colonel Sanders is an off-the-rail dating sim that takes you to all sorts of wild places. And best thing is, it is completely free to play, as it basically also serves as a playable video game version of a KFC ad. In this game, you are romancing none other than the Colonel himself. Or is he romancing you? You are attending a prestigious cooking school, which is where you both meet, and throughout the course of the game you will get to compete in cooking competitions while also trying to win the heart of the handsome Sanders, and maybe even try to become his business partner as well. Some people think this game is too ridiculous to play, and I mean, they're kinda right. It definitely is ridiculous, but you should also definitely play it, in my humble opinion, because it's ridiculous, but I don't think it's too ridiculous. It's just the right amount for me. Number 6. Senran Bankai. Bunka. Senran Bunka is a visual novel that was made in honor of Ubisoft's 10th anniversary, and it definitely is not the only dating sim that they have in their catalog. It is one of the best rated dating sims on Steam currently, and is more your traditional dating sim, focusing on the narrative and characters, and like I said, being a visual novel. In fact, this is a dating sim that I'd highly recommend just for the fact that it has won so many awards, nominated for awards for best art, music, and characters, and winning many of the ones it happened to be nominated for. Senran Bunka was released in 2020, and it also features great voice acting as well, which I love a dating sim that actually has voice acting because there's so many that don't. They maybe give you like an aha when someone speaks or something, but not like actual someone saying words. Number 5. Doki Doki Literature Club. Have you ever thought to yourself, this dating sim is great, but it could be better if there were more psychological horror elements in there? No? Well then, you might not be ready for the wonder that is Doki Doki Literature Club. Doki Doki Literature Club is really a horror game disguised as a dating sim, but it also scratches a lot of that itch as well, especially in the first half of this game, which is more blatant dating sim until the horror starts to creep in and completely shock you during the second half, which might be a big reason why this one is included on the list. You'll love it, but it may also kinda ruin you. I also love how the trailer for Literature Club makes it seem completely innocent, like there's no signs of what is to come. Number 4. Perfect Date. Do you like cats? How do you feel about unique and quirky cats that you can date? In Perfect Date, you are a researcher on Cat Island who mysteriously finds himself slowly transforming into a small feline yourself. In order to learn more about the mystery of your transformation, the island, and the cats, you must date the other cats on the island, which are praised among dating sim circles for their unconventional and unusually hilarious personas. Perfect Date might seem like an odd one to include because I think dating cats is definitely something that people are going to judge you for, but it's also something that within the context of this game is really entertaining and funny. Note, you probably should not date cats unless, like in this game, you're transforming into a literal cat. Just so you know, I don't condone the dating of cats otherwise, but I think in a game where you're a cat, then it's okay. Number 3. Dream Daddy. Not just an amazingly successful dating sim, but also now a comic as well. Dream Daddy was dreamed up by Game Grumps, famous for their YouTube videos and gameplays, with writing done by Leighton Gray and Vernon Shaw. In Dream Daddy, you take on the role of a single dad who has just moved to a new town with his daughter. And good news, there are tons of other single dads there for you to meet and possibly romance. Not only is this game hilarious and well written, but it also has a lot of heart as your daughter, Amanda, her name is also Amanda, helps to coax you out of your shell and supports you on your dating journey. Super cute. I'm not exactly sure how Dream Daddy could ruin your love life because it is just like really fun, unless I guess you fell more in love with the dads in this game than you did your own partner, which could happen. The dads in this game are pretty great. Number 2. Speed Dating for Ghosts. This is one of my all-time favorite dating sims. Speed Dating for Ghosts will not just ruin your love life, but also might make you reflect on the afterlife and its inhabitants and ruin your thoughts of the afterlife and what it might be like. Or maybe make them better, not sure. In this game, you are a ghost looking for a soul mate, get it? To keep you company either for all of eternity or maybe just for now. We'll see where it goes. As much as this is a dating sim, it's also a game where you get to attempt to pull off bank heists, solve mysteries, and make not just romantic connections, but also platonic connections as well. Oh yeah, and did I mention that you also get to go to hell for even more dating fun at the end of the game? It's pretty awesome. It's a party and a half. The game is short, but it's also adorable, and there have been many nights I've stayed up late just to enjoy some ghostly speed dates. It's one of those games that it's hard for me to put it down once I start it. Number 1. Monster Prom. Probably one of my favorite dating sims around, but also one that will leave you feeling completely frustrated, is Monster Prom. Monster Prom is kind of a puzzle of a dating simulator with so many choices and options available to you. You will certainly feel somewhat overwhelmed on your first playthrough here. This is a dating sim where you are a monster at Spooky High. With only 3 weeks left till the Monster Prom, you must search to find a date. Although one of my favorite elements of this game is that actually in the end, you still always have the option to fly solo at the prom and kind of go it alone if you'd rather. I didn't have a date for my prom in real life when it happened, and I still had a blast, so I really like that. I like that even in a dating sim, there is an acknowledgement that you don't actually have to be coupled to have a good time at prom. or anywhere really.
And at number 10, yellow. Yellow may end up triggering xanthophobia, which is the fear of the color yellow. Yellow is a game available online that is essentially like the Impossible quiz, but instead of answering questions, you have to find an incredibly weird way to make the whole screen yellow. The thing about these games is that they will typically only be scary to the fears that they trigger, and this game is no exception. If you have the fear of yellow, you're not watching this part, and if you are watching this part and you're scared of yellow, then I just need to say congratulations and I'm so sorry. This game literally revolves around the color yellow, and since you need to fill the screen with it, you're going to have a difficult time avoiding it. There isn't really much else to say. It's a game about yellow. And at 9, words with friends. If you suffer from hippomonstrosis quipideliophobia, got it in one, that's right, then Words with Friends or even Scrabble is not the game for you. This game will trigger the fear of long words, which ironically is one of the longest words in the English dictionary. The game, as I'm sure you know, is about making long words to score points and beat your friends to a pulp because you've read the dictionary. While yes, you can make short words, ultimately, to win, you need to hit that sweet 5-syllable word on double points. If you do that with hippomonstrosis quipideliophobia, then you're going to be so far in the lead you'll be James Holitzer from Jeopardy! If you didn't know, he's like the best player of all time, and it happened earlier this year. So far in the lead, not even someone who can spell anti-disestablishmentarianism will get you. Sorry to trigger you hippomonstrosis quipidaliophobes out there. Hippomonstrosis quipidaliophobia. Yep. And at 8, Job Simulator. While this game is quite the fun or potentially boring VR game, those with ergophobia will be horrified to willingly subjecting yourself to work in a video game. Yes, ergophobia is the fear of work, and Job Simulator, come on, do I really need to explain? It's in the name of the game. No matter what context you do it in, even if you hire the criminal for laughs, it's still terrifying. And while most of these games are just hand and keyboard or a controller, this one is in virtual reality, forcing you to live the experience in the most immersive way possible. I don't know if having this fear would be like a blessing or a curse. Like, yeah, you can say you're terrified of working, and you are, but I'm not sure if there's much benefit to it. We need to work to survive. It's part of the reason why I'm here. I need food and I need to afford rent. But does this also constitute that you're afraid of housework? Or are you afraid of doing something with a purpose, like looking for something up for a specific reason? I'm not sure how these phobias work, to be honest, so if you do, please let me know in the comments because I'm really curious. And at 7, Pope Mobile. I love that this is an actual phobia, and if I had known about it sooner, I'm sure I'd say I have it because it is so interesting. Sometime in 2018, the Pope was going to visit Ireland, and the whole country was preparing. So one person thought it would be hilarious to make a game based around driving the Pope to Ireland as quickly as possible. Papaphobia is the fear of the Pope, and yes, you heard that right. While the Pope is never on screen, you know that he's in the car with you, and that can certainly give anyone a feeling of dread, knowing that you're carrying one of the most important people in the backseat of your Nissan Altima. But those with papaphobia will be scared to even come anywhere close to the car. The game is available in browsers, so if you want a Pope racing game like I know we all secretly do, search it up because it's great. And at 6, rinse and repeat. Do you enjoy taking a shower? Do you love bathing with others? Do you have a desire to watch other men in a virtual shower with almost no limitations? Well, maybe you should stop watching and go do that. You can do all of that with rinse and repeat, but for those with a blutophobia, you're in for one nasty treat. Hey, that rhymed. I'm a poet and I didn't know it. I can make it rhyme anytime. If you didn't understand that reference, we can't be friends. While bathing does indeed scare people, there is a way to help get over this fear. Exposure therapy and cognitive behavior therapy are both options to help you gradually expose yourself to the environment and help you become more comfortable with the situation. If you have any of these fears and are worried or embarrassed, there is no need to be. Talk to someone about it, maybe your doctor, and see what options you have if you want to get over it. Halfway through at number 5, Miamata. Miamata is a first-person survival game with slight horror elements. You play as an alchemist who is dying of a disease, so you try to invent a cure with a dangerous monster lurking in the woods. While most people will be scared of the monster, those with anthrophobia will be scared of the fact that this game is basically a flower picker simulator. Anthrophobia is the fear of flowers. Wow, this game is definitely full of them, with them being the main ingredient to using your elixirs for maintaining your life. If you play this game and avoid picking up the flowers, you're gonna lose. At least this game isn't virtual reality. Maybe you'll be able to disassociate the flowers with real life ones. Since they're virtual, don't smell and don't collect pollen causing your eyes to swell up, and when your sister throws a handful of them in your face right in the middle of allergy season, you have to go home because your eyes are watering and are now in intense pain because there was a bee in there. Okay, I'm going on a tangent. Just don't play the game if you're anthrophobic. Don't play any of these games if you have this fear. Like, unless you like a challenge. And at 4, rain. The fear is in the name. Umbrophobia is the fear of rain, and if you decide to load up this game because you think the title is ironic, you'll hate your life. In rain, it is always raining, so much so that the story revolves around a character who can see secret objects and people, but only while it's raining. So in the game, it is literally always raining because that's a crutch the developers stuck themselves with when coming up with this ridiculous plot. Does fear of rain actually count as fear of water? Or are people who are scared of water also scared of rain? Is this like a subcategory of phobia, or is it its own thing? I'm so confused. Well, if you decide to play this game, bring an umbrella. Or you can get a poncho, but that means that the rain is closer to your skin, so I'd suggest the umbrella. Ella, A. And at 3, Subnautica. Subnautica is an open world survival action adventure game by Unknown Worlds Entertainment that allows the player to explore the ocean on an alien planet. You can see where this is going. Thalassophobia is the fear of the deep, open water, or ocean, and is literally the antithesis to this game. This game does support VR, but unlike Job Simulator, you don't have to play in VR. Not only is this about the open, deep ocean, but it also contains monsters like Sea Treader Leviathan, who walks along the ocean floor, the Warper, that looks worse than Cthulhu, the Sea Dragon Leviathan, a huge underwater dragon, the Ghost Leviathan that should have stayed dead, and the Reaper Leviathan that is the horrific face spider of planet 4546b. And at 2, Close Your Eyes. This game is probably an optophobe's worst nightmare. The game Close Your Eyes may sound blissful to those afraid of opening their eyes, but what you'll realize after closing them is that there are secrets behind them. But to continue, you need to open your eyes. While this game is called Close Your Eyes, this is only a small portion of the game. With 3 different endings and an intense story, you'll actually have a good time playing this game if you don't have optophobia, the fear of opening your eyes. The game revolves around the opening and closing of your eyes, and this begs the question, do you also fear closing your eyes, since it means you'll have to open them? Or does this fear pass into a video game since they call it opening and closing your eyes? I have no clue. And finally, taking our number 1 spot, Try to Fall Asleep. Try to Fall Asleep is a game about John Heron, who suffers a terrible accident that causes him physical and mental harm. After healing from the damage, he must try and heal from his brain damage by sleeping, but his hallucinations try to scare him. Somnophobia is the fear of falling asleep, and while for this game you are awake and you repeatedly get scared awake, the game revolves around you trying to fall asleep. Every time you get scared awake, you just need to fall asleep again. Things can get rough for you both in the game and in real life if you have this phobia. So like I've said before, if you have any of these phobias, don't play these games. If you want to use them as a coping mechanism, or if you think that they'll help you, then go for it. But when a game is literally trying to scare you like this one, it is probably not the best idea to add a phobia to the mix, hence why it's at number 1.
Number 10. Dr. Robotnik. You know what's possibly the hottest body shape anyone can have? Egg-shaped. Oh baby, Eggman's sexy ovoid body drives me wild. The mere thought of him lowering his bulky frame onto me sends shivers down my spine. What a fox. Number 9. Knuckles the Echidna. Who doesn't want a big strong echidna to take care of them? This beefy member of the Sonic Squad can handle any problem you may have. Just don't ask him to do your taxes. Knuckles has red fur, and obviously red is the color of love, so he has that going for him. He's also a staunch feminist, well versed on subjects such as gender roles.
You know, Amy, anytime someone calls attention to the breaking of gender rules, it ultimately undermines the concept of gender equality by implying that this is an exception and not the status quo.
Plus, just look at the size of his hands. You know what they say about people with big hands? They have big gloves. Number 8. Tiara the Manx. Tiara was supposed to be a feline character in Sonic X-treme and Sonic Mars. Sadly, the games ended up being scrapped, but she was intended to be a love interest for Sonic who could match his spunk and energy. She has a real Lola Bunny thing going with that crop top, and we all know Lola Bunny is a babe. Plus, her last name was going to be Boobowski. She has boob right in her name. How hot is that? Number 7. Espio the Chameleon. Espio is one of the most versatile entries on this list. As we know, some people don't like people of a different skin color. Not a problem for Espio. Well, maybe a moral issue, but not a logistical problem. He can change color to suit your needs, so even racists can appreciate him. Sure, he can be a bit hot-headed at times, but if you make it past that hard exterior, you can bask in the warm, scaly comfort of his reptilian arms. Number 6. Vanilla the Rabbit. Vanilla is an anthropomorphic rabbit and mother of Cream. She's very kind and takes great care of her daughter, and there's nothing hotter than a good mother. Plus, you know, she's an adult, which is a big plus in my books. Careful though, with all the times he's kidnapped her, it seems like Eggman has his eye on her too, and considering what a tasty dish he is, you're in for the fight of your life if you want to win her over. Number 5. Silver the Hedgehog. It's no secret that some people go crazy for older men. Silver foxes like George Clooney will always be in style, but you know what's even hotter than a silver fox? A silver hedgehog. This time-traveling hunk of a hedgehog can use his psychokinesis to drive the ladies crazy. With his incredible power, he can move you both emotionally and physically as you get lost in his brilliant golden eyes. Number 4. Shadow the Hedgehog. Everybody loves a bad boy, and Shadow is definitely the bad boy of the Sonic franchise. Looking dashing as hell with his slimming black fur, he'll zoom into your heart with the help of his air shoes. And you know what they say, once you go black, no, I'm not gonna finish that line. Number 3. Shade the Echidna. Shade is a seductive female echidna introduced as a member of the Nocturnus clan. With a skin-tight black suit and luscious brown quills, this saucy combination of Sonic and Tron is dressed to impress. And the best part? Shade eventually changed sides when she learned what her clan was really doing. So she goes both ways. Number 2. Sonic the Hedgehog. Yeah, this list would not be complete without the title character. Sonic has broken many a heart, hedgehog and human alike, and even though he likes to run fast, he takes his relationships slow. You know, he'll respect your wishes, and when the time is right, you can look into those green eyes, stroke his blue quills, and say, "Hey baby, you have a chili dog for me?" And then it's on. And even though he likes to go fast, you will you know where I'm going with that. Number 1. Elise. Guys, it's a human, a female human. Finally, I can drop the sarcasm for a minute to say that she actually is an attractive character. Obviously, she's pretty young, but hell, she's older than most people playing the game anyway, certainly older than I was in 06. I won't go into detail about why I find her attractive, because creepy, but I think we can all agree that she's pretty cute. Plus, she's royalty, so I'd probably marry her for her money alone. And to reiterate from earlier, this is based on an 18-year-old version of her. Take that, Chris Hansen.
In at 10, Five Nights in Anime. Okay, now this isn't exactly a mod for a FNAF game in general, but it's a modification of the characters and the story that will make your significant other question everything if they see you playing it. So you know what, I'm gonna count it, plus I need more for this list. There was not 10 actual mods. I mean, like, hey, I know that people love animatronics, and I know that that love can get a little weird. But even I was surprised to learn that this game existed. And you know what, I've seen a lot of fan art for this franchise. A lot of it, and I thought that I'd seen it all, but apparently I haven't, because you know what, here's Five Nights in Anime. This game was basically created to parody FNAF, where instead of you being a security guard at a Freddy's restaurant, you're actually hired as the security guard at an anime convention, and it's up to you to watch over these anime-style animatronic versions of the Freddy's cast. Yeah, they're still animatronics. We've got the core cast of animatronics, they're just stylized as well-endowed anime ladies, because why not? I don't know. I think the really weird thing about this game is that how many people seemed to want more of it, and then wanted a version that leads more into the genre itself instead of just being a parody, which is kind of weird. In at 9, Buff Freddy and Morty. And don't think that I'm not gonna be inclusive. For all those who love the dudes, who love the trash men of every universe, Buff Freddy and Morty are here to honestly make me feel just as uncomfortable as any other mods that are on this list. The last time that this mod was updated, it was 6 months ago, and it, quote, added super buff versions of Freddy and Monty, optionally making them even beefier. Created by storebrand_mods on Game Banana, this is certainly something. Although they swear it was just meant to be a small model edit that makes Freddy and Monty a good bit beefier, they blame any other feelings that you get from this mod on a thumbnail for a gameplay video on the Vanamelon channel on YouTube. Which, yeah, I looked at it, it's certainly kinda sus. Okay? It is worth noting, however, that if you do want to install this, the mod requires Unnervum to actually install properly. Not sure what that means. I don't really mod Security Breach, but I guess plenty of you understand it. At least if you're watching this this list for more mods to add to your to download section. I'm sure you'll understand it. Okay, these animatronics are already scarily jacked, though I didn't think you needed to make them any beefier, but you did, so there you go. In at 8, Roxy's Mega Pizzaplex. Are you obsessed with Roxy? If you are, I'm sure any relationship you have is already on the rocks. However, if you really want to drive your obsession into the ground, this Roxy Mega Pizzaplex mod is for you. Created by user Moon on Game Banana, this isn't really that kind of mod, but it's definitely questionable why you'd change the Pizzaplex to be about Roxy. I mean, it could make sense for like after the main story when Freddy leaves, but even then it would be Monty who replaced him. Luckily enough though, they actually come up with an explanation for this and replace Monty with someone else. However, they also replace the original Roxy with Freddy. So if Freddy is still there, I don't know how this works with the lore, but you know what? Oh well. It's not a mod that will make your internet provider worry that you're okay, but it's still a mod that will make your significant other or any prospective partner think twice about what's going on in your head. You know what? Either one. Either head, you know? But yeah, I definitely would question it as well. Chica's Mega Pizzaplex, though. That's understandable. And it's 7 Five Nights in Anime 2. And you know what? Just when I thought that those fan games couldn't get any worse, Five Nights in Anime has a sequel. Oh boy. And you know what? They just keep coming. It's like the all-star of FNAF games. This version of Five Nights in Anime is even more bizarre than the first one, and it's really more of the same though, with the same tropes, but this time parodying it. Can you guess it? Yeah, that's right. FNAF 2. My question is though, if this is a parody in the exact same vein, did we really need a sequel for it? Okay, I don't know. But I mean, there might have been a good amount of people asking for it, considering how this is a thing that we did get. Although, I do want to acknowledge the fact that the first Five Nights in Anime game got 3.5 million downloads, then the second one only got 1.8. So, maybe you shouldn't have done it. Although 1.8 million, if I got 1.8 million views on a video, that would be insane. Either way, it's better than that one mod for Security Breach, okay, that people keep telling me to download in my Instagram DMs. Don't worry, I'll talk about it later. Yeah, you do realize what platform this is, right? I could not share that. Although, if I did it on like Patreon or something. Does OnlyFans have rules against that? And at 6, Freddy Footbear. Alright, look. Okay, I'm not one to yuck someone's yum. Okay, I'm not here to kink shame. I actually understand the science behind this kind of fascination. The two sections of the brain are so close that like the neural networks can sometimes get crossed. And that's totally 100% okay. Alright, nothing to be ashamed of. I'm not into it, but if you are, that's fine. The only thing I'm questioning here is adding this feature to a giant 80s glam rock themed bear animatronic that's in a video game. That's the part that's kind of strange to me, okay? And the mod author isn't any help, okay? As Seaborg on Game Banana puts it, quote, gives Glamrock Freddy a pair of human feet. No, I won't elaborate. So thanks for the help on that, Seaborg, or Keborg, I guess. I don't know how exactly you would say it. It starts with a C-E, so I'm inclined to say Seaborg. But because it's kind of like cyborg, but I'm also inclined to say keyboard, because like, you know, Connor with the C. But you know what? Since you won't elaborate, neither will I. Next number. Halfway through into number 5, Fat Freddy and Monty. Ah yes, with a ton of people online claiming to love dad bods and only dad bods so that they can get even more followers and attention, you know that I was going to have to include Fat Freddy and Monty. I feel like dad bod Freddy and Monty would have been a better name for this and gotten more clicks, but you know what, it's fine. You can fat shame guys online, right? That's the rule, right? Body shame guys and guys only. Yeah, like 50 Cent, oh man, that dude let go. Anyway, have you heard Lizzo's new song lately? Okay, sorry. Double standards aside, this is quite simply just a beer belly Monty and Freddy. Or as the mod author Moik puts it, Mock, I'm sorry for the horrible pronunciation, quote, another cursed mod makes Montgomery and Freddy look like Discord mods. But at least this way, you fitting in Glamrock Freddy's chest cavity actually kind of makes more sense, because it wouldn't just be a 14-inch vertical hole. It's like that, but horizontally now. So I think that's kind of more accurate. I mean, I could nearly fit in that, I think. Like, my shoulders are like 17 inches long, but like my head certainly isn't, so I feel like I could fit in it if I was facing the right way. Like, this is not 14 inches. So like, I could fit in it like that. I don't know. So like, this way, you don't have to be the size of a 4-year-old anymore, Gregory. There you go. But seriously, why do you have this mod installed already? Why? In at 4, Five Nights of Love. Oh yes, another fan game, okay? One that I didn't know existed, but I had a feeling that it would. I figured that if KFC could have a dating sim, then FNAF might have one too, right? And it absolutely does. I'm just waiting for the FNAF console. Ah, you heard me right, alright? It's a FNAF dating sim. You love shipping animatronics with everything, living or not, in the games or not, and you know what? With a human trapped in a suit and a pile of trash, or a human trapped in a suit and a short skeleton from the underworld, you'll still ship it, and it's disturbing. But this time, you get to decide who actually makes the cut in Five Nights of Love. Tracking via cameras, you look at the rooms of a public place, and you'll periodically meet the toy versions of Chica, Foxy, Freddy, and Balloon Boy. With each one of them, the player can have like a heart-to-heart talk, or try to hug them, which is a whole other thing, but you know what, you give them all your love and attention, and then thanks to the treatment, the level of the toy's love towards you will increase. But also your energy will decrease. And then once your energy is out, you have to return to your office, your actual room, or I guess go home, and then come back the next day and start again. Partially though, you can actually like recharge energy at Balloon Boy once a day, I think, if you get lucky. But over this period of 5 days, you gotta make sure as many animatronics love you as possible, which is weird and a whole, I don't want to start any animatronic orgies, alright? That's kind of weird. But you know what? The higher score you get, the more successfully you complete this game. Why is this a thing? Why? Getting close to the end, and at number 3, Vanny Thunder Thighs. I mean, it's something that we knew would happen, and I think that it's something that I've actually joked about in the past about wanting, but like, why would you do this to yourself and us? But like, also mostly yourself, because your name is attached to it, and I very clearly am not actually trying to nail Vanny or Vanessa, okay? Chica's my main girl. And you know what? I'm actually glad you kind of held back, okay? This mod could have been worse, okay? You could have taken this to the extreme. You could have made it that she's only wearing the mask. You could have made it that like her suit is skimpy, like basically every Skyrim armor mod ever. And you could have done a lot more, but you just made her thighs huge. And I can appreciate the restraint. I really can. So, mock again. I think that's how you'd say the name. I'm sorry if I keep butchering it. Well done on restraining yourself from going even harder. Pun absolutely intended. Of course, like Jesus, like I can't even deal with this anymore, okay? I think we've seen all of this enough, specifically, especially after seeing the comments on this mod. That one comment was yikes. Penultimately, in at number 2, thick. Building off the last number, for this number I'm making my own category of mods, okay? This number is for any mod that makes any of the characters bigger, and in this case, typically thicker, okay? There are quite a few, and honestly, it's concerning. Fat Freddy and Monty, for example, like I mentioned earlier. Also, Thunder Thighs Vanny, but also Thick Vanessa, and then multiple mods that, let's say, enhance Roxy and Chica, sometimes separately, sometimes not. Okay, there are separate, bigger Roxy and Chica mods, but also the one on the Nexus that makes them both bigger in certain areas, as the mod author describes it, okay? Like, I understand that sex sells, okay? I went to advertising school, I get that, but seriously, with animatronics? Like, come on. Chica was already pretty damn thick. you didn't need to pile on. Okay, then Roxy already seemed to have a lot of fans based on her original version as well. Especially given the thumbnail that I did for Gaming Elite when I pretended to censor her. Come on, they're man-made plastic constructed robots, okay? Come on. I know that like I joke about Chica and it's probably gonna prevent me from getting a girlfriend at literally any point in my life, especially if they find these videos, but you know what? It's not real. I'm kidding. It's a joke, okay? Or at least I am kidding until the day that Chica's real. But until then, I'm kidding. Alright, so relax. Please, stop. Speaking of which, finally, in at number 1, not modest animatronics. And this is another number that I felt like I had to put on this list, because this is what made me have to do the list in the first place. I can't actually say the name of the actual mod without getting in trouble from the gods above, those being Susan and the rest of YouTube's staff and AI algorithms. However, this not modest or not clothed animatronics mod is very concerning for me, okay? People keep DMing me, trying to tell me to download this mod. No! This mod removes the clothing. I'm putting air quotes on it because, again, it's plastic, okay? And then it leaves both Roxy and Chica exposed. So clearly it's not gonna be a viable option for a YouTube playthrough, okay? And the Patreon isn't even, I'm not stooping myself to that level, okay? But also, why are they so well endowed with this mod? Why? Sweet heavens, why? Okay, at least if you're gonna make this mod, make it realistic, okay? Like, come on. They must be wearing some high-tier compression fabric or something like that, okay? Because when you have this mod, yowza! Plus, apparently, images on Google also show me that there's a Monty version of this mod, giving him, as well, some well-endowed chest articles, which is just Why? What the hell is up with that? Monty doesn't need chesticles, okay?
Number 10, Rockstar Chica. Something about those maracas, I suppose. For some reason, Rockstar Chica is a fan favorite when it comes to attractive animatronics. And there are a lot of people who have created fan art of her, imagining her as a cute blonde anime rocker girl, which is an interpretation of her look. Still, I think this version of Chica is one of the most odd in terms of people finding her hot, but there are people out there that do, so hey, no judgment. I've seen the fan art, I have the proof. And friends, before we move on to this next spot, if you are loving what we are doing here at Top 10 Gaming, please go check out our newest channel, Most Amazing Top 10 Anime. Click that subscribe button. Do it! Number 9, Mangle. I didn't believe that Mangle could be sexy, to be honest. I had heard the rumblings, and I wanted to be able to deny that they were true. But then I looked up Mangle FNAF sexy. Do that at your own peril, because you will definitely find some very weird, very sexy things. I don't know how I feel about them. Personally, I think I feel uncomfortable. But there are people that really love Mangle out there, perhaps a little bit too much. When it comes to Mangle, I feel like the makeup is a big selling point for fans. That and the idea perhaps that Mangle is an interactive animatronic. I'm going to let you interpret that as you will, but I'm mainly talking about the fact that Mangle was disassembled and reassembled seemingly for fun. Pink is also just a color that I feel a lot of people like. It can be very feminine and very flirty, and this definitely sticks with people when it comes to how they perhaps see Mangle and the animatronic's potential sexiness, playfulness, and possibly feminine side. Number 8, Funtime Foxy. Funtime Foxy is just one of the cutest versions of Foxies that I think we have. I personally agree with this one being on the list, obviously. For me, I really love the coloring of this animatronic, and actually also the coloring of all the Funtime animatronics. Funtime Foxy is also an interesting animatronic in the sense that there is much debate surrounding the gender of Funtime Foxy. Some believe due to the makeup and coloring that Funtime Foxy is female, while others feel that Funtime Foxy due to their bow tie and masculine voice must be male. In Ultimate Custom Night, the animatronic was given male pronouns. For me, I think perhaps Funtime Foxy is kind of like neither and falls somewhere in between those two gender labels. Perhaps Funtime Foxy is a little bit more gender fluid than most animatronics. I've seen people reimagine Foxy as more feminine though, and it's a thing to behold, with fan art imagining a much more curvy version of this animatronic. Number 7, Lefty. I don't know what exactly it is about Lefty, but I just find him kind of handsome. Is that weird? I guess it's kind of weird. Lefty isn't maybe an animatronic that people immediately think about when they think hot, but I do. I think he stands out for me when it comes to good looking animatronics for some reason. I will say I've also seen people transform Lefty and reimagine him as a female, and even that has been pretty spiffy, I gotta say. Something I would love to see is Lefty get an eye patch like Foxy. I feel like he could really rock it. I feel like he'd look quite sporting and quite spiffy with an eye patch. There's also some weird imagery when it comes to Lefty's potential sexiness, with him being highlighted as a deadly sexy character, kind of like a more sinister version of Freddy, like a sexy villain if you will. Although technically in a way all the animatronics I guess are kind of villains for the most part, or at least antagonists, as many of them do try to, you know, kill you in game. Finding any of them, you know, hot is kind of weird, I guess. Number 6, Funtime Chica. I feel like the Funtime animatronics just in general really have just something going on with them. Maybe it's because they have the word Funtime in their names. Is there anything hotter than someone who advertises their love for having a fun time? Personally, I am here for people who just want to have fun. When it comes to Chica, there is also her coloring here to consider, and of course, the fact that it's Chica, but just in a fun time form. We always love Chica, don't we? We are big stands for Chica. Even with Rockstar Chica getting some love on this list, which I think truly speaks for how people are in love with this character. Because to me, Rockstar Chica, I don't know, not as hot. Funtime Chica, more hot though. Number 5, Toy Chica. Obviously, Chica is just one of the hottest animatronics out there. I don't think any of us are going to debate this. If you do want to debate this, meet me in the comments, let's have a debate. But among the different types of Chica animatronics, Toy Chica is considered to be one of the hottest ones out there. It could have to do with her very scantily clad appearance, with her like, she's wearing just like her little, it's like a bib basically, and like little like basically underwear. Or perhaps it's thanks to her ability to, you know, remove her beak. I personally think Chica being able to remove her beak is really creepy, but I could see how other people might feel differently about it because, you know, some people don't find a beak, I guess, hot. I don't know. Toy Chica is also generally depicted as being curvier than most models of the animatronic and has a focus on her eyes when it comes to fan art versions of the character. This is where it gets a little weird. The really weird thing is that this can extend to not just her big blue eye version with her beak and her eyelashes attached, but her other non-beak, like pinprick white light eye version where she appears to actually kind of be missing her eyes and only have two little bright white lights peering out of her eye sockets. So I guess some people also find the creepy vibes hot when it comes to Toy Chica, which, okay, I see you. You are seen. Number 4, Roxanne Wolf. Roxanne Wolf is one of the newest animatronics, which is why I'm also a little bit surprised that she would be included on this list, but yet we cannot deny how much love there is out there for Roxy, and I love that. I love that we have gotten new animatronics in Security Breach via Montgomery Gator and Roxanne Wolf, and the people have just completely embraced them and kind of fallen in love with them. I think that's really cool. Roxy comes across initially in the game as being all about herself, but later on we learn that there might be more to her after she becomes shattered, and she expresses great distress concerning that if she isn't beautiful any longer, people won't love her anymore. Oh, there's an amazing sense of connection I think people feel with Roxy that doesn't quite exist with any other animatronics we've seen this far for that reason. I think it's a combo of her punk rock vibes and her complex personality that makes her attractive to fans. Also, you know, she got that hair. Her hair is very glamorous. It's very glam rockerous. Number 3, Ballora. I don't know what it is with people in Ballora, but there are a lot of folks out there who are seemingly obsessed with her. It must be that, you know, severe waist to hip ratio that she got going on. She got very hourglass proportions, I feel. And perhaps her sense of grace, which lends to her, dare I say, beauty. Ballora is also quite feminine, which probably adds to people adoring her both in appearance and in terms of her behavior. Although she can still jump scare you in Sister Location, she's also a lot more timid or reserved, at least outwardly. She can sing and dance, so her talents are another reason people likely find her attractive, and her purple eyes, although we never really quite get to see them. Well, that is unless you're getting jump scared, but I'm not sure if people are here for that. I guess if you find scary things sexy, then you might be into that. Myself personally, nah, not so much. Number 2, Glamrock Freddy. Glamrock Freddy is weirdly attractive. He is super tall, seemingly buff, who also stands as a father figure to Gregory. He's kind, he's compassionate, sweet, and genuine. Plus, he's also a rock star, being one of the glam rock animatronics and their lead singer. What is there not to like there? For some reason, people also love to draw him looking super jacked. He's not only drawn to look buff though, he's also often drawn to look super handsome, usually sporting a chiseled jaw in fan art and a sweet, sometimes shy or playful expression. It makes sense that we'd think Glamrock Freddy is attractive though. He is designed to act as our pal, our friend, and our protector in Security Breach. And for that reason, it makes sense that people would see him in a more attractive light, because he's kind of playing an attractive role there. There is also a lot of fan art with him winking and offering congratulations, saying, "Way to go, superstar," a line of encouragement from the game that he's become pretty famous for, and even in some cases memeable for. Number 1, Glamrock Chica. Glamrock Chica is definitely one of my favorite animatronics when it comes to the hottest one. That feels really weird to say. Glamrock Chica just seems like she usually has a fun-loving attitude. I mean, even when she's chasing after you and is horrifying, she still kind of seems fun to me. I don't know, I might not mind being caught by Glamrock Chica. Well, you know, except for the whole jump scare part, and she probably is gonna kill you part. This version of Chica seems to also love pizza, and I feel like she and I could both bond over that. I also really love pizza. The Glamrock animatronics also all come with some of the best designs in regards to their looks, so hey, that's also a bonus. So if y'all couldn't guess the one animatronic that inspired this list, it was Glamrock Freddy, with this fan art by Amon S, in particular being the one that triggered us to make it. So I guess thank you for that, Amon S. Oh my god.